Hey guys, in this video is going to be a quick recap of comparing adjectives. So let's begin. There's two types. We have comparative or superlative adjectives. So comparative is used when there are just two things to compare between. For one syllable comparative adjectives, we're going to add ER to the end, and multiple syllable adjectives will put more in front of it. For the superlative form, that's when we are comparing three or more things. So when you see words like all of the class or ever, we know that we're comparing between more than three things. For one syllable superlatives, we're going to put in est to the end of the adjective. And for multiple syllables, we'll say most in front of it. And I'll show those next. So for example, we see fast, faster, and fastest. On fast, we add ER to compare between two things. Johnny was faster than Tony. For a superlative, we would say fastest, and that would be used when we're comparing between multiple things. So Johnny was the fastest in the entire race, or Johnny was the fastest boy in the class. For words like large that end in E, we'll just drop the final E and then add in our ER afterwards. So instead of saying larger or larger, as if we didn't take that E away, it just kind of distorts the word and we just want it to be larger. Same goes for largest. We're going to drop the final E and add EST, so it just becomes large to largest. Words that end in Y, we're going to change the Y to an I and then add our ER or EST to the end. So you see that here in easier, you change the Y to an I and then add ER, easier. And easiest, change that Y to an I and add EST, you get easiest. Words that have multiple syllables, that's when we add in the more in front. So we don't add the ER to the end. You wouldn't say more carefuler. You only do one or the other. You either add the ER or you say more in front. So careful becomes more careful. And the superlative form of that becomes most careful. Same thing with another example of important. You don't need to say more importanter. It's just more important and most important, and not most importantest, just most important. Sometimes words are a little irregular with how they change. So for example, we have good, better, and best. You can still see the pattern of the ER and the EST present in the comparative and the superlative form. But good doesn't become gooder or goodest. It becomes good to better to best. Another one of those is bad. So bad becomes worse and the worst. Little becomes less or the least. And these irregular ones are just some words that you're going to have to practice and identify on your own and just kind of know what the root words are. That way you know how to translate them into the next form. But that'll just come with practice and time. I've got some examples for us here. So my mom makes the blank pot roast in the world. If we're talking about in the whole world, that is pretty good indicator that we're comparing between everything in the entire world, more than two things. So my mom makes the best pot roast in the world. The next one, John scored blank on the exam than Tim. High. Think about how many people we're comparing between. We have John and we have Tim. So just two people, that's the comparative adjective. We would add the ER to the end. So John scored higher on the exam than Tim. Another one, this will be the blank event of the year. So of the year, that is going to be of all the events ever to happen. We're assuming that there's lots of events going on throughout the entire year. So this would be a superlative form. So we're going to either add EST or put most in front. And because important has multiple syllables, it becomes the most important event of the year. And the last one, Jane is blank than her younger brother. So we have Jane that we're comparing, and we also have her younger brother. That's only two things to compare between, so it's a comparative adjective. In that case, we would either add ER or we put more in front of it. And creative has multiple syllables, so that becomes Jane is more creative than her brother. And that's what I have for y'all today. If you need more practice, check into your Aztec. It's got tons of practice examples at the end of the skills check of the lesson that you guys can practice through, as well as the homework problems to practice before you get to that post test. So if you have more questions, email me or Mr. Phillip, and we will definitely get those addressed and taken care of. Have a good one.